In the lead up to IAE, I, like many others, was probably most excited for the upcoming release of the Perseus gunboat. After all the time I have waited to get my hands on the latest offering from RSI, the last thing I expected was for Drake Interplanetary to swoop in and steal the show, but in my opinion they really did. While all the attention was on the shiny new subcapital combat ship, Drake silently had the real crowd pleasers tucked away just waiting for their moment. Drake Day saw the release of two new ships into the verse, the cargo hauling variant of the existing Golem, the OX, and the jack of all trades space caravan, the Clipper, and they both have been very popular and for good reason. Even though I'd seen all of the leaks about these two vessels in the lead up to the event, they had largely flown under my radar, overshadowed by what I knew was coming from both RSI and Kruger. Let's start with the OX, and this might actually be the most useful ship for me personally in how it will fit into my existing fleet. The OX is a redesign of the mining ship the Golem, with its rear section widened and adapted for cargo hauling, while still managing to keep a relatively small profile. This thing is basically an MPUV tractor on steroids, or even a mini raft, with the ability to haul up to 64 SCU of cargo all at one time, and can carry boxes up to 32 SCU in size. And that's important when we come to talk about how the OX will fit into my personal fleet and its own role there. Adding to its hauling strength is a pilot-controlled tractor beam, enabling you to move boxes without ever having to leave the comfort of your pilot seat, which is a huge positive for a ship of this size. As for the OX's role in my own fleet, it will have a permanent spot aboard the Idris, which I use as my own personal base parked out in space. As I'm sure others who use cap ships in the same way will also agree, one of the pain points at times is loading cargo to your ship while it's out in space. Our options have essentially been either the Hull A for its 64 SCU cargo capacity, or the MPUV tractor for its tractor beam, but then that sacrifices having a quantum drive. The OX for me brings the best of both of these options, or the very small sacrifice of a ship interior. When capital ships such as the Kraken arrive, you will be thankful for that max box size of 32 SCU on the OX when you're not wanting to do large cargo runs. This will become especially important once the ability to rearm, refuel and repair ships from our capital ships becomes a thing in the game. Having the ability to haul such large amounts easily with the OX when it comes to hauling ammunition or repair supplies, for example, becomes incredibly important. I believe the OX will fill that role perfectly. All around, I genuinely think this is a great addition to the game and an amazing dedicated hauler for the early game users. Now onto the Clipper, and this is what I feel was the real standout for IAE this year. This ship does a bit of everything and is a true multi-role capable ship for solo players, which, when you consider the upcoming changes to engineering, could be very useful. Many players who have become accustomed to flying around larger ships solo to benefit from additional capabilities will most likely be looking for a replacement that is much more manageable once the first iteration of engineering goes live in December. From my experience so far, I think the Clipper fills that role very nicely. Now, I'll get this out of the way right from the beginning. Personally, I think the Clipper is absolutely hideous, but in a way, that's part of its charm, and many players may actually like the fact it looks the way it does when you consider Drake's history. Ultimately, you can't ignore how useful it is. The Clipper is split across 3 levels, each floor has its own useful elements. Starting at the bottom, we have the cargo storage area, which is capable of holding 12 SCU on its grid. Though if you're willing to have cargo bouncing around, you could easily store much more off-grid in this area if you tried hard enough. Moving up a floor leads to the lower section of the ship's engineering area with an, let's say, interesting view of the engine above and its intakes. How this works, I have absolutely no idea, as it seems to be sucking air in from the inside of the ship, but who am I to say? Moving through to the next room is a basic medical bay holding a tier 3 bed, which, while it may not be the best available, it will come in handy in an emergency situation. Even just getting rid of those minor injuries after doing a bunker run and not having to go over to a station to heal is a huge benefit. The next room leads on to what could arguably be the most interesting feature for the future, the crafting station. Having the ability to craft weapons, fuses, armor, and other items directly within your ship could be a real game changer in a solo ship of this size. On the final floor is the remaining engineering section, cockpit, and seating for passengers. Apollo, take note on this, and possibly the most groundbreaking, a Drake Interplanetary toilet. Guaranteed to make Cutlass Black owners jealous across the verse. No more throwing poop out into space unless that's what you're into, of course. From a combat perspective, it's not awful, but it is by no means a fighter, delivering roughly 1199 DPS thanks to its 4 size 3 weapons that come as stock on the ship. And I think that's the story with the Clipper, and it's pretty much a recurring theme. It's not the best at anything, but it can do it, and it can do almost all of it. The argument could be made that you could get all of this functionality on, say, a Constellation Taurus by taking along a medical Ursa and the later to be released crafting station. But having it all built into a ship like this eliminates the time needed to set everything up and makes life easier. For anyone that has played Star Citizen for a long time, the setup is brutal at times, and you can spend more time setting up for a mission than you do actually doing the mission, so I definitely appreciate having it all part as one package. So the release of these new ships into the verse has sparked excitement into me for the future of Drake and what they will be releasing in the hopefully not too distant future. Ships such as the Ironclad and Ironclad Assault, and then eventually the Kraken. Seeing so many players, both new and veteran, flying around a new generation of Drake ships has genuinely been great to see. I'm really looking forward to see what Drake managed to do in the future. This was a relatively short video, but honestly, I'm more interested to hear what you guys think on the new Drake ships. Do you love them or hate them? What do you think of the direction Drake is taking for the future? Let me know down in the comments below. Before I leave, I would like to say a special thank you to my members. Your support means the world to me, and I intend to bring much more exclusive content for you guys very soon. And of course, if you found yourself enjoying the video or found it useful, consider subscribing for more Star Citizen content in the future. With that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.